Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. I am Sandrine Grassard from Improov. We are the experts in efficiency. So on this channel, you'll always hear about tips, tricks, methods, philosophies of how to spend less time working, more time playing, and just working more effectively. Having more time to do things that are really important to you, sticking to the essential instead of losing time and losing your head sometimes in elements that are not that important to get done. I'm so happy to welcome you here. Can't wait to show you the next video. Below, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and don't forget that little bell either so you get notified every time we put a new video on this channel. So thank you so much and enjoy the show. What's really interesting is that although Outlook has had a task manager for years, there's less than 1% of users who actually use the task function in Outlook. And the reason is that when you open up your Outlook for the first time, the way the taskbar is configured by default with Microsoft is actually really, really bad. Okay. So that's the reason why people don't use it. It's because it's not user-friendly from the get-go. So I'm going to show you right now how to set up your task dashboard so that it looks phenomenal and gives you the information you are looking for. So that's key number 3, where I am going to show you how to create the dashboard and work with it to have a solid task list. And of course, we will still be using the control click. Let's look and let's see how that works. In order to set up our dashboard so that it looks just like mine and so that you really have something really nice to work with, I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, I might go a little fast, but the good news is you can pause and you can rewatch this to your heart's content. And that way you will be able to set up your dashboard exactly like this one without losing anything. So first thing you want to do is you want to choose which columns are going to be in your dashboard. First things first, you do a right click here and you go into view settings. We're going to spend a bit of time in this menu, so hang in there and just go ahead and follow along. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the columns and we are actually going to remove all of them so that we can start with a clean slate. So we're going to do remove and now it's all clean. So we're starting in alphabetical order with frequently used fields. First one being categories. Second one is complete. Third one is going to be icon. Then we're going to have priority. Then we have start date. And finally, subject. And the 7th one that we need, so you need 7 of these, is actually going to be found here in the all mail fields, MAIL, and you will find it under in folder. So it's alphabetical order I in folder, and that's the next one. So it should say categories, complete, icon, priority, start date, subject, in folder. But that's not the order we want them in. We want them in. So the first thing we want is we want icon, priority, then we want subject, then we want start date, categories, in folder, and finally complete. Complete is the checkbox at the end that's going to give you that dopamine rush every time you're going to check it to say, oh yes, I just finished another task. Woohoo! All right, so here we go. We're going to hit OK. And before you hit the other OK, don't hit it right away. Just wait a little second. So now we're going to go in and apply some filters that we need. So the filters, what we're going to do is, and actually, let me just show you what it looks like before I do that. As you can see on the screen here, right now we have the proper elements in our list, but what we don't have is we don't have a focused dashboard. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that right now, that task list I just showed you, I don't know if you saw it, and I'll show it back to you in a second, but it had today's tasks, this week's tasks, next week, next month, and later on. You're not going to get much done if you're constantly looking at things you have to do in a month from now. You're going to get overwhelmed real fast. So imagine entering all your tasks every time an email comes in and, oh, this is for next month, and this is for next quarter, and this is for, 1 month down the line or 2 weeks from now. You don't want to be looking every single day at all the things you have to do today, tomorrow, and next week, and also look at the weeks coming, because that's just going to stress you out. And I told you at the beginning, this whole video is all about reducing your stress, right? So how do we reduce our stress? Well, we reduce our stress by focusing on today and maybe tomorrow and maybe this week. And that's it. The more you focus on the present moment, the more you focus on what's on your plate now, the less overwhelmed and stressed you're going to be, and the more clarity you're going to have. Okay? So trust me on this one. I've been doing this a long time. All right, let's keep going and let's see how we're going to program our dashboard to not show us things that are from like in a month or 2 or 3, and just show us what's important today. All right, so we're going to click back here, right-hand click or right button, view settings, and we're going to hit the filter button. Now, this is going to be a little bit more advanced, which is why it's called advanced. And you're going to see that we're going to go into the advanced menu, and now we're going to program it in the back end to say, you know what? I don't want you to show me stuff that's in the future. So how do we do that? We're going to go into field, and we're going to use the date time fields a lot. So you're going to be going to date time, start date, quite a few times. So first of all, we want to tell it to show me everything that I'm supposed to start this week. And we're going to add it to the list. Now we're just going to do that. Okay. I'm going to stop here for now because I want to explain to you, why are we focusing on the start date? A lot of people ask me, but why don't we just do the due date? All we need to do is know when it's due. Yeah, except if you focus on the due date, it's going to show up the day that it's due instead of showing up before. So now you're always going to be last minute. And we all know how stressful that is. So we don't want to go there. So let's make sure that we're going to have our start date. And in your mind, what needs to change, if you haven't done so already, is to always think, if this is due on Friday, when should I start it? So here are the best practices. If something's going to take you less than an hour to accomplish, give yourself 2 business days as a buffer. If something's going to take an hour to 2 hours to accomplish, give yourself 3 business days as a buffer. If something will take more than that time, like you're looking 4 hours, 10 hours of work, whatever, then you start looking at weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 week buffer. Okay. So whatever due date it is, track back and say, if that's due at the end of the month and it's going to take me 4 hours, then I should plan at least a week, if not a week and a half, maybe 8 business days. So that's when you really need to be on top of things to make sure you're starting at the right time. And I'll show you how we end up dealing with that in another video, because we won't have time today, but at least I'll show you how to make sure that we're only seeing this week and next week, and that you always think start date is a few days before. All right. So let's go back to our view settings and look at our filter and advanced. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a field that's going to be the start date again. But this time we want to make sure that our past tasks, the ones that we said we were going to start last week, they're showing up as well. We don't want all of a sudden, so we said, oh, last Thursday, I'm going to start working on this task. And then Thursday came and went, and then Friday came and went, and then Monday came and went. And now you're Tuesday and going, oh, I haven't worked on it. Well, you don't want it to no longer show up. You want that task to be in your dashboard so that you don't forget it. Because imagine if you don't add this next field, this next condition, it'll just disappear, like as if you'd done it, and that's how you forget it. So start date, you have to go choose on or before, and you're going to type in today. So if the start date was on or before today, add to list. And now we're going to keep going. We have another couple of things that we want to add. We want to make sure that if the start date does not exist, it's still going to show up. So start date does not exist. So all the way at the end, does not exist. We're going to add it to the list, because if, let's say I enter a task and I forget to put a date, you're going to want it here. The other way you're going to need this is if you're creating tasks from teams and they enter here, you will not put a date because Teams works with due dates. So if you want it on your dashboard, you have to leave the due date blank, and that will show up here without a date. So you want to make sure that the tasks that have no dates still show up in your dashboard. So you have start date this week, on or before today, does not exist. And then you also want to make sure that we're going to use something else. The field called complete, so like checked off, you want to make sure complete equals no. You don't want to see a bunch of tasks that are already completed. So you're going to have that. So that should be good. And now you should have okay, and that's what you should see here. Okay, so you see there's one task here that you hadn't put a start date on, and it's appearing. Okay, so here we go. We have our task list here. We have our dashboard that's really well configured. And now I'm going to add a task, which I'm going to talk about work on, or no, write a blog article for our site. And then we're going to start this on the 22nd, and we're going to give it a category, which will be, again, a marketing category. And there we go. So now you see this task that I just entered, it didn't even show up. And why? Because we're only showing this week. If I go to next week and I hit it there, you'll see that I am my article right here, write a blog article for our site, is right here. And the task is prepared for next week. So when Monday arrives, it'll show up here in my today. Okay. Then what else do I want to do? I want to show you that in the email, I'm going to flag an email for me to work on today, and I'll show you what happens in the taskbar. So for example, this email here came in and I said, okay, please complete the attached report and send it back to you by next Wednesday. I know I want to start working on it today, so I'm going to do a flag for today, click on it, and I'm going to categorize it as a report. So there you go. So now that I've categorized it and I've given it a flag, I can close my preview, look at my tasks, and you will see there it is. There's my task, my flag. Now, a flag, as you can see, has no icon. That's because it's not an actual task. If I double click on it, you'll see that it's just the email that's been flagged. That's it. It's a follow-up. So those are just how you manage your follow-ups. You will manage your follow-ups by just adding a flag to it, which simply just tags it saying, hey, you got to follow up. And you said you would start it today because you gave it a flag for today. I could have given it a flag for next week. And I could have done a right click here and said, these are my other flags for next week or another date. So now let's say I want to change my dates. Let's say all these old ones, they don't make sense that they're still in the past. So if I want to change them around and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this in the past. I can't go back to the past, right? So now I can click here and say, I'm going to do this on Tuesday. And as I do them, they're going to disappear because I'm only showing this week. So I'm going to do this on Wednesday. And one of the ways I can do this really well is if I do this in my calendar view and start looking. Does it make sense? Do I have time next week to do this stuff? So I can look here and say, okay, so Wednesday doesn't look too bad. I can start doing this here. And then I've got Thursday, looks like I've got a bit of time too. And as soon as I move them, you see, I will have these tasks show up at the right dates. So there you go. So they're all now being moved and they're all going in the right places. So you can see that they're really, really easy to move. By just changing dates, it'll go to the right location. So can you see that having a solid schedule, I mean, it's really going to help you with your priorities. It's going to help you save time and managing your task list. Now you have one place to look and everything's there. Any follow-ups you have, any tasks you have, it's going to be there. So that was key number 3. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope it was very helpful and you got a lot of things to take away with you so that you can now save more time, do better, and feel more in control and less stressed about everything you have to accomplish in a day. So I hope to see you soon on the next one. And again, don't forget to hit that little bell so that you know when the next video is coming out. Until then, have a wonderful day and really have an efficient one. Thanks. Bye.